That's good. So our health and wellbeing area first, and we've got Tracy Parr. So Tracy, you're unmuted, I see. So if you want to talk to us, you're going to talk us about the listening project, I think.
Yeah. Newark and Sherwood CVS is the organisation I work for. They have secured some funding since COVID to develop a telephone befriending service. So it's a 6-month pilot project, which I'm running until the end of February. If it's successful, we're hoping that it will become a more long-term permanent feature. We launched it on the 5th of October. I have 9 volunteers now, and we've got 11 referrals so far. So we make a weekly call. I match the volunteers with the guests, so it's the same volunteer phoning the resident each week. So there's a nice continuity there, and friendships are starting to form. It's usually half an hour or so chatting, although we have got some very chatty people and take nearly an hour. It's really down to what the volunteers can commit. It's a service that's open to any residents in Newark and Sherwood who are feeling quite isolated and worried about COVID. So really, we're looking at people who are living on their own, can be any age group. It's not aimed at the elderly. Essentially, we work with all age groups. And it's really the social side of things. So to have a chat, I know there's someone going to phone them once a week for a bit of a friendship. A lot of discussion about what films they like, books and things. So it's taking their mind off the media and, you know, all this fear about what is happening. So, you know, it's really to sort of bring something different. So we're not providing support and guidance, but conversation, I can then contact the client and see if there's any services that they need referring to. So it is kind of a little bit of safeguarding as well. We've got a couple of service users who have early stage dementia. So far that's okay, although it does prove a challenge with trying to remind them about times of calls and things like that, but we're working around that. As long as people can hold a conversation on the telephone and things like hearing isn't a problem, we can support them. The volunteers are not mental health specialists, so we're not looking at complex mental health needs. It is really light touch, social friendship and weekly contact. We would like more referrals coming into the service. We have capacity. So if any of you know anybody who you think might benefit from a weekly call, please let us know. I have a referral form for the scheme. People can self-refer, family members can refer in, the social prescribing team have been referring in, as have the tenancy officers at the council and the heart team. So I'm trying to get the word out that we're on the ground and we're working and trying to benefit more people, especially with the current lockdown situation.
That's brilliant. And how do people, I see just a little message from Karen Bannatyne saying, you know, how do people sign up for it? Both ends really, refer people and volunteer.
I have a flyer, which I'm hoping I can maybe attach to the chat. We've just revamped our website at Newark and Sherwood CVS as well, and there's a link on there as well for listening line with all my contact details. So in the chat, I can put the flyer and I can also put the email address for referring or volunteering on. Yeah, I usually pick up the calls and get back to you quite quickly. And usually referrals are getting matched with a volunteer within 2 days.
Oh, that's brilliant. And it's we'll try and make sure, you know, we can put that on our local Collingham Facebook sites. I have to say Collingham has brilliant Facebook sites, something for everybody, the old and the young, and they pass it on to the various clubs and organisations as well, which is brilliant. And I'm seeing Karen saying that the medical centre have a referral system to befriend in as well, I think. So that's absolutely excellent. How many service users do you have, Tracy, at the moment?
We've got 11 at the moment.
Right.
So, I mean, we've only been going just over a month.
Oh, wow, that's brilliant.
So again, it's been a steady increase. I've got a couple of volunteers who are doing 3 calls a week, but I've just recruited 3 more volunteers. So we have capacity to take more. And what we're finding is it's a lot of ladies that are referring in or being referred in. We don't have many gentlemen accessing the service yet, but I do have 2 male befrienders who would very much like a guy to chat to. So if you know of any gentlemen that need a little social, we can cater for everyone.
That's absolutely brilliant. Thanks very much, Tracy. And I'm sure if there's anybody else wanting to volunteer or anything, we'll look out for your flyer. And I say, if you can email it to us, we will pop it on the relevant sites there. And I know Linda Dales has been supporting this as well, hasn't she?
She has, yeah, she's been fantastic.
Yeah, so that's absolutely brilliant. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think the next one's me as well before I hand over to Hayley, and it's Neil, our star speaker there in the green with the beautiful oil painting in the background. So Neil Mison is going to talk to us about the St John's Ambulance Service. So over to you, Neil.
Oh, hello everybody. I'm Neil Mison. I'm the unit manager at Newark First Aid Services Unit, which is the unit part of the St John's presence in Newark, shall we say. A bit of potted history in case anybody doesn't. Well, everyone knows St John Ambulance, and more recent times we begin to focus on events. I have been at the Collingham show, for instance, a year ago, last September. You probably would have seen our treatment centre and ambulance there, and we had a good time engaging with people. I remember showing some children around an ambulance, which is and they seem to be quite excited about it, which is always good to see. And leading up to this year, when we came to March, when COVID hit, shall we say, almost immediately the organisation changed overnight because all of our events were just cancelled out in one go. And what actually happened is the NHS came to St John and they said, you're an auxiliary ambulance service, because we've always been an ambulance service. Can you provide ambulances for us to help out with the extra demand that we anticipate? So almost within days, as an organisation, we were set up into a different type of operation. We were all offered training to expand our training. I'm trained as a first aider. I'm not ambulance crew myself. So I just have worked on events purely, but I then had extra training, which basically brought me up to almost, I won't say nursing type of training, but it's almost like a healthcare assistant level, shall we say, that you find in a hospital. And the training manager who was training said, this is the type of course we used to run 25 years ago when we focus more on the care side. So from that, we have then been providing people into hospital. Locally in Kingsmill. If you've been to Kingsmill ED over the summer, you would have had to come through our pod to get into it, because we've been keeping a check on people coming in, looking for vulnerabilities, if they possibly may have COVID, they're showing symptoms, helping people get in there, possibly giving them immediate care. I personally have I've been on duty quite a lot there and had to give quite a few people care. A lot of it is a lot of anxiety. People not wanting to be there, really worried, and it's talking to them, explaining to them that if they feel they need to be there, if they've been told by a doctor they need to be there, then they really do need to come in and get treated. On top of that, we have a lot of us had our skills training level increased over a few weeks as well into ambulance crews, so we have a lot more ambulance crews than we had before. And I think there's some massive stat that since the end of March, we've put in 230,000 hours of volunteering for ambulance shifts, working in hospitals. Also been working with the blood transfusion service as sort of front of house as people arrive. We were helping them out through the summer, get them through the summer. And as we ramp up into the winter, one of our traditional roles has been to provide people like I've been doing in EDs, in emergency departments, for the winter rush, shall we say, and what's known as the nighttime economy. As you may see in some cities or in towns, I think, for instance, in Leicester, we have a treatment centre out at night at times of the weekends. But also we will go into the hospitals and help take the pressure off the hospital staff. So that kind of is a potted history about and what we've been doing over the last few months with COVID. But I can actually say sort of quite proudly, Newark as a whole has really stepped up. We realised what was happening quickly. A lot of us volunteered, and we have been putting thousands of hours within just the members in Newark, we're all based at Telford Drive and the business centre of Brunel Drive, off of Brunel Drive. And it's been an amazing experience, because I've done things that I would never have expected in my life to do. For instance, I think a lot of people feel the same. It feels like you're giving something back to the community and helping people, which is what we all volunteered to do in the first place. It's just we done it on a much larger scale. And I mean, I'll plug the charity because we're always after donations,
Good for you.
especially if we've lost all our events. But we're obviously getting funds coming in for the work we're doing with the NHS. But if you visit our website, sja.org.uk, you can see where there are opportunities to volunteer. It doesn't have to be directly clinical. You could be a driver working in logistics, moving things around, or you could be a support member helping out with this in events, even when we come back to events. Although, having said that, we have actually got an event I've just been trying to organise today for the Beaver Castle at Christmas. The Christmas market's in December, so you'll see us there at the weekends. So we're doing a little bit, and we're doing a bit of work behind closed doors in football stadiums and rugby stadiums. Again, it's all part of taking the pressure off the NHS, where we had been working and looking after the crowd, and the NHS will be providing ambulances for the players. We're now providing those ambulances for players, and there aren't any crowds at the moment, so there's not a lot else we can do. But it's that kind of work that we're doing behind the scenes. And yeah, it's if anybody's interested, please have a look at this.
That's brilliant. I know those of you know I currently work for the police as a trainer, and I know all the emergency services have been so grateful to the volunteers who support us. I teach special constables at weekends, and they're very much in a similar vein to you. They come, they get a professional qualifications, no pay, and they give up their free time. They give up their free time to go and do horrible things that people often would just if they knew. They'd be dreadful, but there's some fun in it as well, and they keep coming back. So much like yourselves, that's a good thing. I'm very glad to hear you're getting some money from the government, from the NHS, for helping them out. Like all charities, suffering from the voluntary donations, though. With my other hat, I'm a Rotarian, and we're absolutely. There'll be not much to give out to charities from our Rotary charity this year, because we've not been able to collect anything. Santas and sleighs are really off this year, as is grottos and all the rest of it. So it's been really hard work. That's good. So what's the most exciting thing you've ever done, Neil? What's the exciting best job? Let's put it that way. God. Best job you've been to.
That's a good question. That's a good question.
I like those questions.
Well, I haven't yet had to perform CPR on anyone.
That's good.
I have to say, but I've had to look after. I've called a helicopter. Last year at the rugby club, I had quite a busy season last year, looking after the children's rugby on Sundays, and I had a few quite hairy moments with young players that have been a bit too over enthusiastic and have made themselves very poorly. And I had a helicopter circling above me at one point, which with a paramedic with me, we called them off, luckily, and they came round, and they were a couple of hours later they were in the back of an ambulance. So I think probably one of the most fulfilling things I ever had happen was actually in September. A guy came into King's Mill, and he'd been in 3 times before. He cut himself at work accidentally on the leg, and he'd gashed himself really badly, but he was so anxious about being in hospital with COVID
Yeah.
And I sat down with him. I looked at his wound, and I thought, it needs treating. It was about 4 or 5 days old by that time. And I said, I didn't just bombard him with all the facts. I just talked him through, why he was here, what made him come here. He'd even been in, checked himself in the day before, and then gone home because he just couldn't take it anymore. I walked with him into the department himself. I got him checked in. I sat with him for a few minutes and just talked things through with him. And then my colleague was dealing with somebody else, so I had to go back to the pod. And the next day, I got an email through from National to say he'd been in, he'd been treated, he'd gone home. He'd obviously, we just see him coming out about 3 hours later, just before midnight, and he'd gone straight home. He'd gone on the internet, and he'd gone to the SJA website and put a customer feedback filled out a customer feedback form, and said these amazing people basically, and I've actually ended up with a director's commendation for it.
Yeah, well done.
It's just one of those things that how you can actually, something very sweet. You think at the time, I didn't even remember most of it when I read sort of like all the thank yous from the hierarchy, like this is what we're here for with our heart principles, etc. And I thought, by just doing what you feel is natural, what needs to be done. This guy was in distress and he needed help, and that's one of the things I think even more than when you're really treating somebody who's really poorly, that just to make a difference to someone's life in effect.
Well done, Neil. Very pleased to hear you got some recognition for that as well, because sometimes these acts go unseen, don't they? And very great for your patient for writing in as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's something you wouldn't expect anybody to do, really. So it must have had such an effect on him that he was that thankful for it.
Yeah.
So I think he used the term "gave me the courage" or something like that was the term he used. I thought, wow.
So what about young people joining up? Are you currently suspending new entries or?
Yes, well, we have badges for the under 11s, which is a very light touch sort of group of people. They're all meeting online. The cadets are meeting online at the moment. They're the 12 to 18-year-olds where you get a uniform, your parents buy you a uniform, and as you progress as a cadet first aider, you can then start to go on some of the events, some like the bigger events we do with the half marathons and the cycling events where we've got room for cadets, so they can get experience of what it's like. But we're also running it was announced way 6 months ago, before COVID even. St John are partnering with the NHS to start a career path for cadets, so they can become a St John cadet, and that actually starts their career path into the NHS. So if they want to be a paramedic or a nurse, they start off as a St John cadet, and hopefully, because we have a lot of NHS professionals actually in the service as well, so they will be able to maintain them. I think in Newark, for instance, we've got it's a student paramedic, a student nurse, and a student midwife, and when they're all qualified, we'll have, as we term, healthcare professionals or HCPs. So they'll have a clinically high level of skills. But we also got doctors. When I was at helping out with ambulance shifts and getting them on the road at Newark, there was a doctor was coming down from Hull almost every day for about 2 weeks, who was crewing ambulances around Newark. So he was coming quite a way. He was getting
and of course, I know the famous Mr. Alan Marwood, so everybody knows him. That's good.
I think somebody said to me the other day that I was talking. Somebody had contacted me asking about how to join, and I said, "What made you just come forward?" She said, "Well, a few days ago, I've been thinking about how becoming an ambulance crew anyway, and potentially eventually training with EMAS." But she said, one of our neighbours had one of your ambulances turn up for a call, and she looked at it. She said, "I thought St John ambulance." I said, "Yeah, we're doing COVID shifts for taking people to hospital who are poorly." But we also do we do have contracted services from Newark as well.
That's good.
Which are non-COVID, with their patient transport for high dependency patients. So they move. Both paediatrics and adults, they'll be moved between Leicester and Nottingham or Derby with a doctor or specialist nurse on board. So that there's sort of high dependency vehicles that they go on, so lots of equipment. So we're kind of behind the scenes. We're actually quite a big organisation that probably not many people realise that we're there, but we do a lot.
That's brilliant, Neil. Thank you very much. That's been really interesting. I know quite a lot about St John's, as I'm sure lots of people here do, but actually hearing somebody who volunteers all the time is absolutely brilliant. So thanks for coming on today. Do stay. You might hear some interesting stuff for the next while. Now, we've got two Sarahs coming next, so we're going to go to Sarah Halpin in just 2 seconds, and then Sarah Markall is going to come on straight after that, who's an added extra for tonight. But I figured Sarah Halpin will want to get cracking. Am I right, Sarah? You need to unmute.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm sorry, I know I should have been there earlier.
No,
as you might have already seen. Yeah, as you might have already seen, Stuart has resigned from the Royal Oak. So I have been sorting that out, because obviously I don't have enough to do.
Loving the background, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you see, because I've had a lot of committee meetings with the Royal Oak lot, so I thought I'd give them all a treat, because we can't actually sit in the garden at the moment to have a drink. So, you know.
Need the bandwidth for doing that, though.
Yeah,
that's very good.
But you'd be glad to know that I've made sure there was plenty of beer. I've done the beer. I did all the beer orders and done all that this week. So we've still got.
That's all that's important, then, really.
Yeah.
And now's not the time to tell you that my background is in licensed trade hospitality, is it?
No, it's not, because
no.
I need some.
No.
No. At the moment, we've got me as a free manager, which I'm not quite sure why.
It'll all sort itself out. Don't worry.
Yeah. So currently we are doing takeaways. We said we'd run it for 2 weeks, see if it would work. Last weekend was very good, and already tonight there look like quite a lot of orders coming in. We've already got orders for Saturday, so I'm hoping that is the same as last week, because then we will keep doing takeaways right the way through.
Yeah, that's good.
It is something that I have often asked that we continue anyway. You know, like even when we are open normally, but I think it's something that we should do. As a general rule, but I suppose that would be dependent on who ends up managing it. So, yeah. So currently it is being run by myself and Dom. So Dom in the kitchen. So me part-time, obviously, because I do actually get a paid job apparently. And I have a paid job. But I am doing it, and the license is under my name anyway. So it's been quite smooth in that respect. I saw Stuart today. So obviously he's very unhappy, you know, Collingham, he's really sad, but at the same time he's, you know, obviously personal reasons for wanting to go. So that's what is happening there. So I will stay in touch with him. So if anybody wants to pop messages on, I'm quite happy. So, but we are very grateful. He's worked very hard in all this time. So, which yeah, he's done a very good job so far. So. Well, hopefully, new chapter on that one later. Okay, so that's the Royal Oak as it stands at the moment. We should, in theory, be opening when lockdown is lifted, but we'll still be in tier 3, so it'll still be restricted. It makes it extremely difficult to be viable under tier 3, very, very difficult. But we have got enough support from committee members that have got enough money to keep us going. So I shouldn't say that, but you know, I will twist an arm or two if I have to keep this going. But we certainly have enough to keep this going, you know, through to the new year. It does mean that sometimes we have to make some decisions, like, you know, not paying furlough on all the staff because there's a 5% cost, but we are doing everything we can to make sure that it survives. And I think it will, judging by what the support it's been getting from the village. I'd be very surprised if it didn't. And I'm running 17 pubs, and I've had to shut 4 of them permanently. So. Yeah, so it is what it is. Okay, so pretty viable. Quite happy with the Royal Oak. And then the food pantry. So the food pantry, I was really quite concerned that with the end of furlough October we were going to get inundated. Fortunately, they've extended it, so I haven't been quite as inundated as I thought. We've had a couple of families that have now found work, which is fantastic. But they've been replaced by 2 new families. So, you know, I'm back where I am. So we are currently looking after about 24 families. We will be doing Christmas packages for all of them, I would hope. We've had some very generous donations from the co-op, One Stop, and individuals as well. So that shouldn't be a problem. We've got enough volunteers now, few, because I was beginning to get a bit worn, so going around everywhere. So we have got a few volunteers now. However, we have agreed to help out with another initiative, which is getting potentially some hot meals out to some more vulnerable people. So we will be looking for drivers for that. If anybody knows of anybody, just get them to get in touch with me. They can either message me via the Collingham Village. I think my name is pretty much out there now. I can't even go in the co-op without people knowing who I am anymore. So I'm going to dye my hair pink and disappear into it, I think, at some point, so that people can't recognise me. But other than that, yes, it's pretty good. We've got a nice strong bunch. We've got there's only a few of us that do the deliveries because we have to get CRB checked for that, and that would be the case for the volunteer drivers as well. They would need to be criminal record checked. I don't want anybody going to anybody's house if they haven't. Not that I'm picky or anything, but you know, please don't have a criminal record. And that's where we're at. And that's it from me.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant, Sarah. One thing that I'm going to ask you tonight, it's a sort of a half personal thing, but my Rotary Club have been doing a reverse advent calendar, and the Rotarians who live in the Ollerton Edrinstowe area are supporting their local food bank. But there's 3 of us all live in Collingham, so we're going to donate ours to the food pantry, if that's okay.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So it'll be in a week or so, but we're trying to do it. We know advent calendar's not till December, but the food's no good. You need it before December. So we've been doing it in November. So give us another week or so and we'll bring our donations over to you.
Lovely.
And it's a brilliant thing. We're trying to get lots of other people to do it because we know the food banks, whatever name they take, and Rotary for food banks in the East Midlands has been, you know, generally we've had lots of support and funds from all over to help people, you know, get through who've had such a loss of income or loss of support in a lot of cases. So thank you very much for that.
No worries.
Okay, so over at Hayley now. I can sit quietly.
So that was sort of our business section, really. If there was anybody else that wanted to add anything in business-wise, you know, you're very welcome to. I mean, myself, I mentioned at the start that, you know, Newark and Sherwood are starting to send out the help. So if anybody has any problems filling in the form or anything like that, you know, I'll be very happy to help out. So, you know, just let me know on my business page or anything like that. I'll be very happy to help anybody out, because sometimes it can be a bit daunting, you know, filling some of these application forms out. So yeah, so I think next we're over to the community section. So we've got another Sarah waiting to chat. So it's from the Swinderby volunteers, I think. Is that correct?
Yeah, we haven't really got a name other than a band of merry men now. Yeah, we set up our volunteer response back in March, and I was just going to talk a little bit about what we have been doing. So obviously Swinderby is quite a lot smaller than Collingham. There's about 300 households, and coming up to lockdown, when you could kind of see what was happening, I started thinking, like, maybe should we get organised, should we not? Am I being a bit too anxious, you know? Am I going to be a bit crazy asking all these people for help? I contacted the parish council and they said, no, if you want to organise something, go for it. So I put out a call on social media to ask if there'd be any volunteers to do maybe shopping and prescription runs and things like that. And by the end of the day, I'd had about 40 or 50 volunteers over that day sign up. It was just done on Google Forms as well. So it was only people who had access to the internet and our social media site. So for a village of 300 houses, that was pretty amazing, I thought. So since then, my clever husband has set up a phone line for us. So 8 till 8, 7 days a week, anyone can ring our community line. and it automatically diverts to the volunteer in charge of that time slot, if you like. So we've not got to be passing a mobile phone around between people, and we've not got to be kind of like charging that phone up and things like that. So that's worked out really, really well for us, and it's had a good 6-month test now. So if there's anybody out there who is in a similar situation, trying to run their pandemic response, or even anybody who's got a community group, I know sometimes if a club advertises a phone number and they do their advertising, and then the secretary changes, they have to swap all their details and all the advertising doesn't work anymore. It's the sort of thing that could probably be used for that. You just have one phone number and then it just gets diverted. So if there's anyone out there that that's useful for, I can help you set that up. So I've got this amazing group of 50 volunteers who are all signed up. About 12 of them are active at the moment, and we've been doing the prescription run out of Collingham for, well, since March, basically. We've never stopped. We did it 5 days a week until August, and then we've been doing it 2 days a week since. And it's just amazing that these people keep going and just doing it for the community. And I just want to say, you know, thank you to everybody. It's just, the response has been phenomenal, and I think it's got people talking as well who wouldn't normally talk to each other, and that's really, really nice. But I mean, going forward, I think we've got to think that we're in, whether you want to call it a second wave or if it's just the first wave that was squashed and kicked along the road, whatever you want to call it, we're in that situation now. The level of infection is much higher than it was back in the last lockdown for us locally, and I think this is where it gets to the stage where it's your friends and family and your neighbours who are going to be more affected by it. And I think one thing that I've learned from doing this is it's really difficult to find out who needs help because of GDPR and everything. And if you haven't already got people's phone numbers, it's trying to get in contact with those people. As we've heard tonight with the phone line, it's getting the referrals. So I think I would urge everybody to check out, you know, check up on their neighbour, look for the invisible people who you hardly ever see in normal times, and just, you know, clandestinely sort of like secretly or be open and just, you know, check on them. Swap phone numbers with your neighbours, have a plan, because to self-isolate, you might be fine most of the time, but if you've got to self-isolate, have you got someone who can help you out with your shopping? You know, do you know who to call? And I just think for us, the pandemic line and the volunteer group has been really, really useful for lots of people. So just knowing the people who that you can call, and knowing as well that there is someone there for you if you need something. And I think hopefully over the next few months there will be more people who do reach out for befriending services and things like that. Going forward, we're looking at the potential of turning our pandemic response group into a good neighbour project, which is supported by YMCA links. So hopefully coming out of COVID over the next year or so, we will have this strong community response that can be applied to other situations as well. So yeah, just if any of the volunteers are listening as well, thank you so much. It's been amazing.
Well done to you as well. You know, what an achievement as well, and well done to your husband as well for putting in that. I bet that's a fantastic idea.
It's so much, yeah, it just made it so much easier. Yeah,
and I mean, this is as well why I got involved in volunteering and doing this tiny thing with the community conversation, because I think community now is, I think one good thing that's come out of this pandemic is the fact that now community is so much stronger than it was, and hopefully these volunteer groups are just going to become stronger and stronger, and it won't be about the pandemic and about COVID. It'll be about, like you say, neighbourhood and looking out for your neighbour and looking out for people. And you know, I'm lucky enough where I live, we do all that anyway, but I know that's not the same everywhere. And Swinderby's hugely connected to Collingham. I mean, one of the girls who works for me lives in Swinderby, and so yeah, fantastic that you've got 50 volunteers. You know, that's you know, so refreshing. So well done, yeah. Well done.
Awesome.
I think we've got got a bit of a mixed schedule this week, but I think we've got Julie. Did you want to jump on next? Yeah, am I right? Yeah. Hi there, Julie.
Hi Hayley, hi Stella, thank you very much for your patience. I was very lucky, NHS England were on schedule today, so they did finish at 7 o'clock, which is unusual, but our briefing did finish at 7, so thank you for allowing me to join late. So a couple of things then. I've been asked just to give a quick summary and update of the sort of things we've been encountering over the last month since our last community conversation. So if I look at the pharmacy first, we've had a lot of queries to the pharmacy about opening hours. I think in our first wave, we had to restrict our opening hours so that we could get ourselves organised behind the scenes and redevelop all our processes. We don't need to do that with our second wave. We've done that. So business as usual, front of house, our doors are open, the same number of hours that we continue to do, and we have some good business continuity strategies. The only time we might have to reduce our opening hours will purely be about the number of bums and people on site, and if we become unsafe to be able to support the community. But if that happens, we will get some very clear messages out to you all. So for now, pharmacy business as usual. 4 working days, we're meeting that really well. People are doing much better. They're not presenting early, which is helping keeping the queue moving. It's fantastic. Those messages are getting out there. And the work of Sarah, who I think has just gone, but again, Sarah and her team, oh no, you're there, Sarah, have done a fantastic job in helping keeping his meds out to the communities. We've got a couple of groups, well, 3 groups that are keeping going, and on top of the Collingham delivery scheme. So the changes to the delivery scheme, people will be aware we've got shielding at the moment, so that's been a new thing during this second lockdown. Now that it's very much focused on the extremely vulnerable, so they've really focused on the high risk patients. In our communities, because we've got good volunteer groups, a good delivery scheme, we've not needed to recruit our volunteers again, because most have either got themselves a support structure from a neighbour, a friend or family member, or even volunteer groups to get their meds and get them delivered. So those processes are working well and continue to do so. So they're doing well. We've got a little bit of a plea in that we are starting to notice people panic ordering. So please do not order early. Please do not ask for twice as many. The supply chain is doing okay. We are, you know, it's no different if we were out of pandemic times. We would still hit some of the shortages that we've got. So supply chain for meds is fine. Where the supply chain is a little bit sort of rusty or haphazard is the vitamins. So obviously there's been a bit of a rush on vitamin sales at the moment. We can't quite get them on the shelves quick enough. So bear with us. If there's something there that, or not there that you would like, just let us know, and we'll make sure that if they're not already winging their way to us, that they are going to be. So that's in terms of the pharmacy. For the practice, well, for both teams, we're going to rest the teams on the December bank holidays. There is some speculation in the system that primary care will be asked to open on some of the bank holidays, but if I'm really honest, our team is tired. You are a good community, and I think they deserve a 4-day rest so that they can put their feet up themselves as we start into January. So our current theme is that we are not going to be opening on those bank holidays, and we're going to rest the team. So of course, giving you all plenty of notice, so order your meds on time, make sure you've got them ready for you so that for that 4-day period, you've got everything that you need. So if you can do that, that would be super. We've got a couple of vacancies still in our team. Our housekeeping team, the increased cleaning schedules, of course, are taking its toll on them. They're becoming a little bit tired. We had amazing medical student helpers over the summer, but she's now gone back to learn to be a doctor. So we could do with a pair of hands. So we have got an advert out for a couple of hours during the day just to help our team and help them rest a little bit as well, another pair of hands. We had a great uptake to our PPG vacancies, and Sarah hopefully is one of our new members. We don't scare her off on Monday when she joins us, but we've got a couple of new members who have agreed to join the PPG, so we're back up to full strength again, hopefully. So thank you very much for that. NHS app, we are the leading practice in Newark and Sherwood with the sign up on NHS app. At the end of October, 9% of our population had signed up for the NHS app. So it is becoming a bit more popular than System 1 because you can do it wherever you can and on mobile. So keep that going. And just bear with us in the waiting room and public corridors. You may have noticed lights on late in the last couple of weeks. We've had flooring replaced in waiting and public corridor areas, and now we're starting on the painting. So it just means that we're a little bit in chaos. We're trying to keep it tidy, but bear with us. Hopefully you see as things are in progress. So were there any, oh, and the last thing, sorry, most important, COVID vaccines. You will have heard on the media, no doubt, unless you've been in a little cocoon somewhere, that there is news of a COVID vaccine. And now, whilst I can't release details because there are many products and many vaccines that are currently being trialled and in their last 3 phases, you would have heard that. But what I can do is reassure you is that for months now, our local NHS in Nottinghamshire CCG have been working with general practice with plans of A, B, C and D, depending on which vaccine does make it, because each vaccine needs to be managed and delivered almost differently. So of course there's never one pattern that fits all, but there is a plan depending on which ones come out. So I just wanted to reassure you all that we haven't forgotten about it and that there is a lot of work going on in the background. But it is likely there will be a mass vaccination centre in Newark. So the most people will get done there, and then other community services like ourselves at Collingham will mop up for those that either can't make it or, you know, it's difficult for them to get there. So there are lots of plans afoot. Any questions from the...
Excellent.
Thank you, Julie. Yeah, lots of information there that I'm sure people really, you know, needed as well. So a little bit of reassurance at the end there as well. Thank you. So where are we next? So
Gavin.
No. Oh, Gavin, yes, Gavin from Hill Holt Wood. Is that correct?
Hi, yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm Gavin from Hill Holt Wood. Thank you very much for having me on. I really appreciate it. Also, thank you very much to Neil and Julie there. It sounds like really got a lot of, well, I'll say they've got the work cut out for them with always COVID. It sounds incredible, like the way their life is changing work-wise. It sounds, like they've got a lot on. But with regards to sort of what we've had to change at the Wood, well, unfortunately we've had to close the Wood, and it's been closed since the very start for members of the public. So if any of you guys have been across the Hill Holt Wood, nipping over the A46 there, dodging the traffic and trying to avoid those lorries and coming into our woodland in the past, then unfortunately we have been closed to the public. And obviously the reason is because we just want to minimise the risk of it arriving on site. We have quite a lot of, we have 60 young people who come in 3 times a week doing study programme with us. So they're from quite vulnerable backgrounds. Some of them, they've got everything from behavioural through to physical and mental needs. So we are trying to protect that. So sorry we've had to close the Wood still, and we're hoping, sometime in the mists of the far future, hopefully not too far, that we'll be able to get that gate back open and invite our wonderful local community back into our woodland, which is actually the whole reason why we had Hill Holt Wood from the start. Just briefly, if you're not too aware of Hill Holt Wood, the history behind it was that Nigel and Karen Lothrop bought a woodland and just wanted to get away from the rat race, and so they bought this woodland, Hill Holt Wood. Holt actually means wood as well, so if I slip into just calling it Hill Holt, it's the same thing. Otherwise, Hill Holt Wood just technically means hill, wood in Old English. So they bought this woodland and they realised it had a lot of invasive species they wanted to get rid of, so they sort of chopped it all out. But it was a heck of a lot of work to do the drainage and things like that. So they needed help, and they realised there's a lot of people in school at the time with ADHD and things like that and hyperactivity. And then they realised that, hang on a minute, these kids are bouncing off the walls in their classrooms, and the classrooms aren't for everyone. In the past, these kids will maybe go and work on the land, maybe work with dad or mum somewhere, and there was a way out. But nowadays, you know, it's the real stigma to drop out of school. And all those years ago, sort of 1995, Hill Holt Wood, the company, was born. And with the primary reason of just getting the woodland open to the public again. So they started taking on these youngsters from schools, direct school referrals, and these kids at school aren't allowed to use scissors and things like that. You know, oh, you can't, you know, you're not allowed to use scissors or whatever these, you know, these stereotypes are. Well, the idea of Hill Holt Wood was they've got hyperactivity, but it's going to be great if they're outside and they've got a spade or an axe in their hand and we've got some work to do. So that's basically where we started. That was a sort of Hill Holt acorn. And all the way through now to 2020, where the whole purpose of the wood is still to be there for the local community to enjoy, but we are trying to, you know, sort of push our way through as a charity now and a social enterprise. So we offer a range of services, some of which local people might have used already. Firewood is something a lot of people use. So we do a lot of thinning work around the local area. So we manage some woodlands. The biggest one we manage is actually Hospital Plantation, which runs along the A46. Do you know the Damons roundabout alongside Lincoln? The Damons roundabout. You carry on north up there, and that woodland on that right-hand side is called Hospital Plantation. And we're managing that. So we're taking a lot of trees out of there to sort of thin it out a little bit. It's not been managed for well, pretty much ever. So our forestry teams are in there taking some of the individual trees out, not clear felling, we don't do that. So we pick individual trees and we take them out, and it lets the sunlight come in, and it activates wildflowers for next year. And that wood, that timber that we take out, we use the scrappy bits to keep us warm at Hill Holt Wood because we're not on the grid. But some of the other stuff we'll sell it as firewood. So it's £120 for a transit tipper load of hardwood delivered to your house, or £80 for softwood as well. So if anyone needs any firewood, there's a little advert there. But a lot of the wood is used for our building and construction purposes, and we use even the lowest grade stuff we'll put into our fencing and things like that. But the higher grade stuff, because we grade all our own timber, we can sell local timber as well. So we know who felled every single piece of wood that we've got in our stock at the moment. We can kiln dry it as well. And we've got a whole stock of timber. So if anyone's got any projects coming up, especially with it being locked down, if anyone's got some projects, then we can deliver out some wood depending on what you're after. Not just your normal sort of sawn timber, we've also got some interesting pieces for tables and bar tops and all that sort of interesting stuff. I've actually got a little bit of bog oak as well, which we source. So we think that could be anywhere to hundreds to 1,000 years old, who knows? But that is amazing and black stuff. So yeah, we've got quite a lot of, yeah, that's just one of our services, I guess, the firewood and things like that. With the education happening at Hill Holt Wood, we're still very busy despite lockdown. And the only thing that's really we're missing the weddings and the birthdays that we used to hold. So people could rent out our rammed earth hall facility where the walls are big, thick walls made literally just from earth that's been compacted together, with a double reciprocal timber roof up there as well. It's a beautiful building if you've not been in, but unfortunately, if you've not been in, you might have to wait to see it. But yeah, hopefully in the future we'll start advertising the weddings and the birthdays and things like that again. So it's a lovely site, and it's always nice to get a bit of overtime, you know. So I'm looking forward to that again. That'd be quite nice. Yeah. We've got so much that I could talk about. How are we doing for time? Am I right?
Come again, Gavin. I think.
All right, we've run out of time. Is that
yeah, definitely come on again. It sounds like I'd love to personally come myself. I love anything like that. I'd like to actually live anywhere around there, to be fair. So, but yeah, come on again, and definitely thank you very much for coming on. So I think next we've got Emma. I think Emma's coming on.
Hi there.
Hi, Emma.
I'm here on behalf of the Collingham District Preschool. I don't know if many of you know, but the preschool is actually a charity. As everybody was saying earlier, like St John's, we have been hit hard. As a preschool, we're hit quite hard anyway because we're very restricted on what funds we're offered. The preschool, I've actually messaged Mary George, who runs the preschool for us. I'm one of the trustees. There's a team of us. We're predominantly parents. Linda Dales has very kindly joined us because we're trying to recruit professionals from around the village to support us so that we can utilise their expertise. My focus background is event and major donor management for a charity, which is why I'm on the committee, and that's how I try and support the preschool. But I did message Mary earlier, and she said to me she's really happy because the preschool have been able to operate as one big bubble since September, and touch wood, we haven't had any positive cases. They're enjoying all their usual activities, but on a much smaller scale. And they're still managing to get out for outdoor walks around the village. So hopefully people who are shielding will be able to see the children in high-vis vests and give them a little wave out the window, because the children really enjoy doing that. The children have done lots of role play. They've done lots of topics like the post office, so they normally would go in and visit the post office, but obviously they've been unable to do this. They are just about to start decorating decorations for the church, for the Methodist church, and yeah, so that's going really well. That's how they can support the local church. They are also doing Christmas around the world topic, and they'd love to hear from anybody in the village who is from a different country and has different traditions, because they'd like to incorporate it into the children's learning. So if anybody is from somewhere else and knows a lot about traditions that they could share with the preschool, the staff would be really keen to hear from you. And all being well, the children will be able to have their annual Christmas party, obviously with social distancing in this year for parents. So that's as far as the preschool is concerned. The staff are working tirelessly. They're incredible. I can't thank them enough. I would love to do it publicly, because they do not get enough credit at all. They're an incredible team, and we're incredibly lucky. So whilst they're busy running the whole of the preschool, we make the decisions as the trustees for them the best we possibly can, putting policies into place and procedures. At the minute, we are focusing on fundraising, because like I said, we are not actually eligible for many pots of money, so to speak, because our biggest cost is rent and paying the staff, and not many people want to give grants or funding for those two things. They're happy to support us for equipment, which is amazing, but there's only so much equipment the Wesley Room can hold. We are very limited to space, and anybody that knows the Wesley Room, we have to, the royal we, the staff have to climb a ladder to store stuff up above in the ceiling, basic ceiling space. So it's really quite tricky. So we are we're basically launching little fundraising activities leading up to Christmas. I don't know if anybody saw our Halloween trail. If anybody did that raised £96. It was very last minute. I thought I'll just test the waters quickly, see who will get involved. It had a really positive event. Just like to thank the whole village for getting on board with that and being patient with us. And thank you to the One Stop for very kindly giving out all of the treats for the people who did participate, again, last minute. They're always very supportive of us. So now, leading up to Christmas, we have a couple of events, and I hope you don't mind me pushing them on here. We are doing a Christmas window decoration competition, where we're asking people to donate £5 to the preschool, and we are asking them to decorate their windows in the most festive way possible. And we're going to ask the select people around the village, key people, to pick their favourite window displays, and we'll give prizes. And sorry, I'm being attacked by one of my dogs. So that's one of the key things we'll be doing. And then I hope there's no children in the background, because I'm actually going to be doing letters from Father Christmas as well. So we are having a wooden post box made, and that will be placed somewhere around the village. I'll either ask Nicholson's Butchers or the One Stop or possibly the Co-op. I don't know, whoever's happy to support us by having the Christmas post box there. And I will be personally responding to all the letters, and I've even taken the opportunity to order myself a wax stamp. I love anything crafty, so I will be doing responses, and I think we're going to charge £3 for those, and because I will be donating my time and the resources, that'll be at 100% of the of everything donated will go straight to the preschool, because last year we did a fantastic Christmas fair, which unfortunately won't be able to go ahead this year, which again included the whole village. Hayley Jane were there, and lots of other independent businesses who we sourced locally. So they supported us, we supported them, and it raised over £1,300. So we are really missing out this year. And so anybody who is in a position to give us prizes for our competition coming up, anybody who would like to make a donation to the preschool or help us in any other way, then it would be greatly appreciated, because it is a fantastic resource for the village, and the staff are incredible and the children have been incredible, and yeah, we would love everybody's support, please.
Definitely. I personally have missed all the events that we attend of the preschool, and yeah, I'll obviously we'll donate a voucher as well, so just get in touch with me on there, and we'll do a voucher from Hayley Jane. So yeah, thank you very much, and everybody support those events because they all work so hard. I know they do. And yeah, definitely.
We're all working mums, or I'm on maternity leave at the minute. I had a COVID baby. Poor
the events, they're all there right at the end, still working hard with the kids running around. So yeah, support as much as you can. So I think just jumping on at the end, we've just got Jack just from Co-op. We can just do a really quick. Sorry, we've ran over. We've had extra people, but we're just. If you just give us what you needed to give us, and then I think we're over to Jean. I think Jean's going to do us a jingle on the way out.
Yeah, thanks, Hayley. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Jack. I work for Lincolnshire Co-op as part of the community team, and just a really quick update on community champions. So our Lincolnshire Co-op community champions funding applications are currently open for spring 2021. They're closing on the 27th of November. This is a big way that we're able to give back to the local community. The money is raised through a donation every time someone spends in store, through staff fundraising, and also a 5p carrier bag fund as well. So any non-for-profit group can apply. Non-for-profit, good cause in your local area. We currently have 3 spaces available connecting with Collingham Food Store to raise money for community champions through spring. The money can go towards either a project you've got in mind, equipment, or just general running costs to run your amazing groups as well. Successful groups can look to receive £500 to £1,000. We've kept the form as simple as possible. It's, you're perfect, thank you, as Hayley Jane is showing you now. So yeah, really simple form. It's 2 pages. So if you have a group in mind, I know a couple of people have mentioned funding on here today. I'll pop my email up on the chat if you'd like a hard copy. I'm more than happy to send one out, or you can apply online. So yeah, that's it from me. Any questions?
No, I think yeah, I've got the form there ready, so we're going to be.
Oh, and just a quick push as well. So our current community champions in the Collingham area are Collingham Scout and Guide Management Association. Steph will be pleased to hear, obviously, Collingham Football and Sports Club, and All Saints Parish Church, who we're currently raising money for at the minute.
That's great, thank you. And I know Hayley and I'll say thank you. We were a bit on a wing and a prayer because we've done all the tech stuff this time as well, and that's a bit scary. Yeah, thanks, Steph. We got there in the end. Well, we think we have anyway. Apart from nearly forgetting to let Julie in, but she was very kind. Sent me a nice text. But thank you very much for joining us. Can we remind you the next one is the 10th of December. We wanted to have a more Christmassy feel. I've asked Jean to brush up on her Christmas tune nearer the time. Not yet, Jean, not yet. But for the next one. And hopefully maybe we can get a few more Christmassy things. So if anybody knows anybody that's got, I don't know, a little Christmas, we'll look at your windows. Maybe I'll come round and take some pictures of windows, Emma, to for your group.
We had discussed, I hope you don't mind me interrupting,
No.
is possibly getting the fire engine to go ahead.
I'm sure they would.
And getting Father Christmas to stand at the back and maybe shake some buckets around the village, and maybe, I don't know, a friend with a horse and cart, maybe she'll come along.
Collecting in my Rotary head, we can't even collect cash at the moment, so it's a nightmare. You have to leave it in a shed for 3 weeks or something.
Yeah, exactly.
But hey, we'll think of something anyway. We'll think of something. So yeah, we'll certainly do that. And thanks to everybody for your input. And I'm sure Hayley and Linda. Linda's our silent partner who arranges everything, and we just stand here and look gorgeous, don't we, Hayley?
Yeah, well, we try. Thank you for everybody for coming on and participating. It's always a joy as well. Thank you, Stella. She's an excellent co-host. So yeah, so if we go over to Jean, and we'll see you all next month.
That's brilliant. Yes, thank you. So 6:30 on the 10th of December. So somebody needs to unmute Jean. Have you got a helpful friend there, Jean? Can you unmute? Maybe. Unmute. There we go. That's it. Right. Go. Play away.
Oh, the cuckoo is a pretty bird. She sings as she flies. She brings us glad tidings and tell us no lies. It's meeting a pleasure, and partly it's a grief, and a false-hearted truth, love you, is worse than a thief. They'll hug you and kiss you, and they'll tell you more lies than the green leaves on the willow or the stars in the skies. Oh, the cuckoo is a pretty bird. She sings as she flies, and she brings us good, glad tidings and tell us no lies.
Thank you, Jean. Thank you. Goodbye, everybody. See you on the 10th of December. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.